Hello, hello.
Invite everybody to take their seats. You ready?
All right, ladies, if we can go ahead and take your seats, we will begin this in just a couple of minutes. The flowers are bigger than me. We got flowers, you ladies had wine and champagne. Donald, can you help? All right. Here, I'll give you mine too. So while our amazing group of panelists take their seat, I'm just going to walk around. I want to meet people, right? We never do this. We never, we're always paying attention to the ladies up front, but we have specifically handpicked the women that are here today. So I'm just going to go around and introduce yourself. Let us know what you do. And you never know, right, who you can connect with. Am I right? Okay, so what do you do? And who are you?
Hi, I'm Laura Zamora. I work for City of Miami as the Senior Manager of People and Operations.
Okay, give it up. I'm going to go over here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brittany Brave. I am a comedian. I'm a jester. And I founded my own women's organization called Catcall. Yeah.
All right, let's go over here.
Hi, I'm Roxette Miranda. I'm the Managing Director of the Lab and Director of Founder Institute.
Hi guys, I'm Ivania. I'm the owner of a new brand that is called Latin Gin.
Let's see, a couple more.
Hi everyone, I'm Grace DeWitt. I'm the new local director for the New Tropic, which is a daily newsletter helping people live like they live here.
Congratulations on your new job. All right, one more. What about over here? Claudia DeCampo is our reporter at MSC. Let's go right over here.
Hi, I'm Natalia Wong. I'm the executive director of the WOW Center, and we're a local nonprofit that serves adults with disabilities after they graduate high school. So I'm happy to be here.
All right, so we have an incredible group of ladies. Thank you so much for taking the time. You can be anywhere in the world on a Tuesday afternoon, but you chose to spend it here with us. And of course, Madame Mayor with us on Women's History Month. Give it up. So let's get this started. How beautiful is Superblue? What a fantastic space. Thank you for taking the time and donating your space to us for the afternoon for us to celebrate and recognize the women around us who lead by example. I will introduce our wonderful panelists, but first, Madame Mayor, please just talk to us a little bit about what this day means to you and what this month means to you.
It's all about the ladies and the girls and the girls. I'm so excited to be with you in this beautiful space. This one's not working. This one is working. Yes. In this beautiful space, and I too want to know everybody in this room. I honestly don't know how you all materialized so quickly for this fun event, but I am very, very happy to be with this panel and with this group of. You're also, as I told the TV station, you could all be up here on the panel, but we're just going to be together in this bigger space and sharing some deeply personal thoughts as well as some aspirations that we can share. So we've got this amazing group of ladies. You'll get to meet them shortly. And Superblue, which if you have not yet toured, you must tour. This room is incredible. It gives you just a little taste of what's behind the door. This has become one of the hottest attractions in South Florida. I was here for the opening. I just learned that was pulled together quickly, just like this event. But these ladies, they are agile, and a few men that help them too. I want to acknowledge our incredible moderator for the day. Everyone knows NBC6 reporter Kelly Blanco. You are the bomb, Kelly. So we love to highlight female leaders all month long. The month of March is ours. We own it. Let's claim it. But really, we need to celebrate each and every day, don't we? Yes, yes. Too much to just confine to March. So we're here also to celebrate that we have accomplished a lot. It's been 100 years since women got to vote. Oh my God, it's only been 100 years. And there's still so many battles to be fought. We passed at the county commission when I was commissioner, the first county to endorse the UN Charter to end discrimination against women. If you can believe it, it's an international charter. Our country did not pass it, but cities did, and we are the very first county to sign on to that. And because of it and the support of our Commission for Women, we've updated our sex harassment policy. We've provided more resources to women who are victims of domestic violence. We have created a pay equity law for all of those getting contracts with the county. They have to sign that they'll pay women equitably. And I've promoted and hired an incredible group of women directors in Miami-Dade County government. So I love to celebrate all of this, but we also know there's more to be done, and together we can get it done, break more glass ceilings. Little girls everywhere can know that their future is bright and filled with their promises for themselves for the future. So I am so proud to be your first ever woman mayor in Miami-Dade County. Woo! But there are many, many more firsts. And so let's inspire the girls and the women that we know to achieve all those great things. And I'm looking at you. You are all doing it. Thank you so very much to our female leaders, and I look forward to today's conversation.
Incredible. And now Michelle is going to tell us a little bit about herself, and then you can pass on the mic.
Great. So yes, good afternoon. Thank you so much I'm very humbled to be on this panel. I was actually telling Tracy I saw her win an award probably 5 years ago and was awe-inspired. So to be sitting here is really wonderful. My name is Michelle Abbs. I have lived in Miami for 16 years, and I started my career as an educator, and I am still an educator. No matter what I do, what role I hold or title I hold, I am an educator at heart. I currently am deeply immersed in the Web3 space. I founded a company called Web3 Equity. Shout out to my Tuttle tribe who is here. And I'll share a little bit more about Tuttle Tribe in a bit. I also work for an NFT for social good company called MetaGood. And I head up their community and education side of things.
Thank you. I look forward to understanding more about NFTs because it's a whole new world. My name is Tracy Wilson Morning, and it is truly an honor to be here. Some of my favorite people. I adore this woman here. I am the founder of a mentoring program called Honey Shine and a co-founder of the Overtown Youth Center. I used to live in South Florida when I was a little girl. And then the universe, God brought me back here many years ago, and it's home. You know, it will always be home, and I'm very passionate about service and about women and girls. You know, I've always had great relationships with my girlfriends, homie don't you know me, from 5th grade through high school, through college, and I have been blessed with the most amazing mother in the world who transitioned and passed on, and this is the first time Anna and I are seeing each other since her mom transitioned. But Honey Shine, I started it because I wasn't sure that all little girls had the mommy that I had. And so I wanted to impart in them the wisdom and the knowledge that she has shared with me and so many others. I am very passionate about encouraging women to shine. That's what we're here for. I want all girls to walk into every room, shoulders back, heart to God, and crowns on their head, just like this group. So it is truly an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, Tracy, I think NFT stands for no freaking tacos. My name is Anna Navarro. I've been in Miami, a Miami-Dade for 42 years, which makes me really old. I came here as a refugee, fleeing a civil war in my home country of Nicaragua. What we've been watching in the Ukraine for the last month has reminded me of how many people living here in Miami-Dade have fled war, whether it's Haiti or Cuba or Venezuela or Nicaragua, and just how hard it is, particularly for children. I'm a lawyer by training, but I don't play one on TV. I'm a political commentator, TV commentator. I'm a CNN commentator, and I'm a co-host of The View. And I am a huge fan of Daniela Levine Cava. In the 42 years I've lived here, I have to tell you, I think she is the best mayor I've had here in my lifetime. Shows up everywhere with seriousness, with gravitas, with empathy, and trying in a very difficult time, in a very polarized time, trying always to lift us up and to unite us. So for that, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Good afternoon. Great to see all of you. My name is Clara Stroud Vasquez. I am similar to a lot of these women on this panel, a transplant to South Florida. I moved here probably about 20 years ago now. This city opened its doors to me and never let me go. I thought I was coming for grad school and never left. Ended up getting hired by the Miami Heat and staying, and I'm the Chief of Culture and Inclusion for the Heat. But more importantly, in my role and in my previous roles, I've been a huge champion of women. I managed our dance team for a long time and championed their brand and grew them. I'm also an educator. I'm an adjunct professor at one of the universities up the street. So being a woman in a very male-dominated industry and a very male-dominated space, I make it my point to open space and save space and lift up the women coming behind me, because I know what that's like. Like Tracy had a wonderful mom that growing up, I don't think I was ever told I couldn't do anything because I wasn't a woman or because I was a woman. My mother is a single parent and had a lot of strong women friends who became her tribe. and they raised me. So I grew up always seeing women just basically kicking in doors, and I never thought that I couldn't do that because I was a girl. She had very strong, powerful friends who worked in all sorts of industries, and so coming up, I just thought this is the way life is, just like my child thinks going to Heat games is like normal. I've had to tell her that anybody she gets with is gonna have like big shoes to fill getting her tickets. So it's the same thing with me growing up. I just thought like, women just did this. This is who we were. And as I got into the working world, I realized that it's not the same for everybody, and I wanna kind of even that playing field and help women, you know, get what we deserve, what we work hard for, what we're capable of doing. So very glad to be here and to share knowledge and to hear about you guys and learn about you and learn about the panel. And thank you, Mirkava Levine. We at the Heat, myself and especially, are super excited to have a female mayor and somebody who's so in love with this city and wants to do such great things for the city. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Chantel Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Experiential Art Centers for Superblue. So, I mean, what does that mean? It means that I'm a small part of a big team that brought to you these beautiful venues. And I see a lot of familiar faces here, but for those of you who haven't visited, your bands will get you a visit after this. So I hope you have time to explore. But I'm born and raised in Miami, and so this position or being able to bring something like this to Miami really, really means a lot to me. I grew up, you know, the daughter of Cuban immigrants. I wasn't exposed to art, and when I went away for my master's and I left to New York, all of my friends and colleagues were like, well, we're never coming back. We're going to London and we're going to LA, and there's no place in Miami for this career. And I bet on Miami, and it was the best decision I made. Most of those friends are reaching out to me now, like, how do I get in there? So it's definitely means a lot to me that you're all sitting here today and get a chance to experience Superblue.
Amazing. That's such a good point, right? When I started my career, they're like, you're going to stay in Miami? Why would you do that? And now, look at us now, right? Front row and center, leading the country, really, right? In so many different forms and aspects. So, Mayor, I want to ask you, what is your hope for the women of our community here in Miami-Dade?
Well, I think we have all talked about the things that are so exciting about being here. So my hope is that women will continue to thrive, and that the women who were here before can not be pushed aside, right? We have incredible new people coming, and it's dazzling, right? Everybody who wants to be here. And this is a place that has always been reinvented time and time again by waves of newcomers. But let's also remember that they're coming here because of what we have. They're coming here because we are the most diverse, the most peaceful, unifying place. We are a place that does open doors. So my hope is that the women here will be able to afford to live here, and that they'll be able to ride this incredible wave that is coming, that is here.
That is here. And Michelle, I want to ask you about fear. You know, recently you made a little bit of a career move of sorts, and fear is always something that comes knocking at our door in one way or another, right? I got to say, about a year ago, I was asked to moderate the town hall for Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, and I was shaking in my boots because I'm good news, Kelly, right? I do the fun stuff, I do the entertainment, the fashion, but I've always had a heart for politics, always had a heart for leadership, and so I was like, you know what, I cannot say no. And I didn't say no, and I thank you for that opportunity, because it definitely made me get out of my comfort zone and do something that I, had never thought about doing, and look, here we are now. So Michelle, you've done a lot of things within the past 6 months. For those in attendance who may be thinking of a career change, or maybe not even a career change, just something, a transition that frightens them a little, what can we tell them?
Yeah, so I certainly grapple with this every morning. In fact, just before coming here today, I think I had, within a 5-minute span, a roller coaster. Kind of felt like this art exhibit of all the emotions of fear, the heightened excitement, all of those things. I think, though, getting really clear on your why is the only thing that can be a guiding post throughout all of that. And leaning on other leaders who are also really clear about their why. So I have to tell a really quick story that goes back to 2008. I don't know if you remember this, Madame Mayor, but we were sitting at Jumbo's, which is a restaurant in Liberty City that is not there anymore, on 62nd and 7th Avenue. This was when our mayor was the executive director of Catalyst at that time. Right, and I think about, this was before she had run for her commission seat, before, she's the mayor now, and that journey, right, that you took on and your commitment to the community. And she sat down at a table. There were probably 6 or 7 of us that were teachers in Liberty City, and she shared with us, what mattered to her and her commitment to the community, and that stayed with me. And I think a lot about the promises that we make to a community. And so when I transitioned into this role, my promise that I'm making to a community that is a sacred bond, that I feel like no matter what fear I'm feeling in any moment, like that's what has to supersede that. The promise is that Web3, this is a technological revolution moment. This is like we're at a fulcrum moment where everything's about to just like take off. And we have an opportunity to make sure that women are equally represented in leadership roles alongside our male peers. And that scares the heck out of me and propels me, no matter what fear I'm feeling, like that sacred promise to a community has to supersede the individual fear that I might do. And other leaders have done that in the past, so if they can do it, I can do it.
All right. Amazing. Great answer, thank you. Tracy, let's talk about mentorship. And who was your mentor? What advice would you give other women looking to find a mentor? And I also want to touch on disappointment. How do we handle disappointment when we're in the limelight, when we're professionals? Because that is something that I think has affected all of us at one point or another. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah. Wow, that's many layers to that. Mentors, again, my girlfriends, but my ultimate one was my mommy. The strongest, toughest woman I know. And she had a mouth like a sailor, call you everything but a child of God, politically incorrect in every way, but she was a truth teller. And she stood in her truth, and everyone who came in contact with her adored her for that. She was, just briefly, a little bit about her, just where the strength comes from. She was married before my father, a little white woman, German Jew, married before my father to a white man, and it was an abusive relationship. She had 3 children, divorced him, moved from Kentucky to Cincinnati, met and married my father. And during this time, it was against the law for a white woman to marry a black man. So her ex-husband takes her to court to get custody of her children. And the judge says 20 years from now it's not going to matter. Right now it's a civil rights matter. Granted custody to the father. The father stands up and says, well, I don't want them. I just didn't want her to have them. So her family stands up and say, well, we'll take them. And if you get rid of the one you're carrying, my sister Lisa, you can have them back and we'll get you a house. So this is a woman who has sacrificed her whole life for her kids. When I tell you, I've never wanted for anything. She cleaned houses. When we lived here in South Florida, I would stay with this amazing woman, Miss Annie Lou Johnson, down in Goulds, and my mom worked at the jail downtown and cleaned houses. And people didn't know she had black children, and she would lose jobs when they found out about that. So when I tell you, it wasn't until I had children of my own that I truly understood the sacrifice that this woman had made. And she was tough as nails. She lived to 87, lived on a farm, 13 acres, cut her own grass, cussed everybody out. Like that was like her way of showing love. But it was just her strength, and she would always tell me, Tracy, like, don't look back. You only get dust in your eyes. And I still look at that, take that to heart now, even with disappointment that you asked about. These past few years for me, there's been a lot of transition and change and a lot of great disappointment. And, my mentor, my mommy, the messages that she would always give me, leave them where they lay. Don't look back. You'll only get dust in your eyes, because I remember when my children's father was going through his kidney disorder. We had no idea what was going to happen. I had just given birth, and they didn't know if he would survive or what have you. And I remember being so broken about that, and I was saying, Mommy, what am I going to do? I have young children. How do I make it through this? And she looked at me and said, what would have happened to you and your sister had I given up when she went through all of her tough times? So it's things like that. We're going to get disappointed in life, but leave them where they lay. And don't look back. You can't go back. You can't change things. She couldn't change what happened before, but she kept going. And it's because of her never looking back and never giving up and never being woe whiz me that I am the woman that I am, that my children, and she was always older than the other moms, so I had angst as a child, like worried about her, wanted to carry her in my pocket, like to protect her. She needed no protection. And my children, know her better than anything, so disappointment comes, things like that happen, but I have this strong faith in God, in knowing that it all happens for a greater plan. Those disappointments that you may have, or the sadness that may come, it for something greater. Because those individuals that may disappoint you, those situations that may disappoint you, they can't go where God is taking you. And my mom's life was a testament to that. Thank God things happen. I always wanted grandparents growing up, or a big family, but that wasn't a part of the plan. But God's plan is always greater than anything. So I would just say to any of you, leave it where it lays.
Anna, you didn't get to where you are without hard work. So what are your boundaries to help yourself not get burnt out?
Oh, I'm burnt out right now. I'm burnt out sitting. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't because Daniela Levin Cava asked. I don't put fake eyelashes on if I'm not on TV. So, but I want to talk a little bit about, you asked about fear. And I have a very good friend she's achieved incredible things in her life. And sometimes I say to her, how could you accept that job? You know nothing about that. She says to me, I just put on my white man pants. How many times do white men get offered something, and frankly, they don't question, can I do it? They just say yes. And so every time I don't train to be on TV. I don't know, I'm a chubby girl with an accent from Miami. What the hell am I doing on national TV? So I put on my white man pants. And look, I think it's very, very difficult to balance a very full and busy career with family. Anybody who tells you differently, and anybody who says lean in, lean out, you know what, they probably have a lot of nannies. I was watching yesterday the confirmation hearing of Judge Ketanji Jackson Brown, and who, by the way, is from Miami, graduate of Palmetto High. And her daughters were there, and she apologized to them, and she said, I haven't always gotten the balance right. And I would say that about myself. I don't always get the balance right, but I have a very high maintenance Cuban husband who reminds me when I'm not getting the balance right. And yesterday, when I was, these hearings, and if you're not watching them, watch them, because they really are like chicken soup for the soul. And the idea that little girls are getting to see so many firsts, right? The first woman Miami-Dade mayor, the first woman vice president, and not just woman of color, the first black woman after 234 years on the Supreme Court. And it, it made me think so much about why representation matters. And there was this little girl yesterday, if you want to look at her picture, go on my Twitter feed. There was this little girl, there were all sorts of law school students and women of all ages and little girls who showed up yesterday and represented on the steps of the Supreme Court. And there was this little black girl there. And I just thought to myself, imagine knowing that yes, you can achieve, that yes, you can reach your dreams, that it is not impossible to see somebody who looks like you and sounds like you and grew up like you sitting in these highest positions in the land. And so, you asked about being burnt out, and I don't know what the hell I'm answering about, but obviously not the question you asked. But I do think that one of the things that should keep us going, even as we're feeling burnt out, is how important representing and opening doors for others are. Because too often you get caught up in where you are and you climbing, and you forget to bring others up. And so anybody who's got a job or a position or an identity where you can lift somebody up, you get more from that than you get from, from almost anything else. And I hope one day we can just be, but that's not the day today. Today we've got to represent and the duty and responsibility that comes with that. So I'm burnt out.
In the best kind of way. And just so you know, everyone that is here, they were hand chosen specifically because not only they lead by example, but because they bring others along with them. I can't say that any of these people only think about themselves, So let's give them a round of applause just for doing that. With that said, Clara, can you tell us the importance of community and networking with other women?
It's hugely important. We talked about mentorship, but there's something that we don't really talk about in business, and it's sponsorship. Having those people who say your name in the room where you're not, or in the room where people don't look like you, is so important. And in order to do that, you have to network. You have to make relationships. I work in an industry that it's entertainment, and a lot of the things we do as it relates to the community, as it relates to hiring, it's relationship based. It's knowing who's out there as the candidates that are amazing that we want to hire. It's knowing the people and the movers and the shakers in the community that we want to work with to build up our community. So networking for women is really important, especially when we are in spaces that are male dominated. As she said, guys will apply for jobs. The percentage is they're 60% qualified for a job, they're going to apply for it. And if they know somebody, they're going to reach out and say, hey, I want this job. They may not be qualified. I may be 100% qualified. Women, we have to check every single box. And we make it so hard on ourselves sometimes with that. So networking is really important. And for me, it's not only networking, it's bringing my network with me. So if I'm going into an event, it's inviting the women in my office who may not be, VPs and directors to come along. So they get into those spaces so they meet those people. Because when I'm retired and much older than I am right now, hopefully, they're going to be the leaders. And so they're going to need that network. I just think that the sisterhood is so important. One of my favorite people who works for another team that I shall not mention in another state always says, we want to have that Hasu moment, that hook a sister up moment. You want to be able to call somebody and say, listen, hook a sister up. Can you tell me what you're doing in this space? Can you tell me who I need to talk to in that space? Can you tell me who's the best in the tech space? So building that network is really important to help us out and to make sure that we put our best foot forward, that we can get into the spaces that we've been clawing to get into for years. I hate mean girlness. My boss and I talk about this all the time. She's like, I hate that mean girl thing. Like, I hate it. Because if I'm tearing... So, mean girl in the sense of I want to kick the door down and grab my seat at the table, but if I'm being a mean girl to somebody else in my office, in my network, I'm like, what is that benefiting us? Because when men see us doing that to each other, they're like, well, we can do it too. Like, y'all are hating on each other, so we can hate on you too. It's really important for us to not do that, you know, especially if you're in an environment where there's only a few of you. And there's only 3 of us and I'm tearing down the 2 next to me, what does that mean for women as a whole? So for me, networking and the sisterhood and building that up is just extra important, because that's the only way the women behind me are going to be able to come and take my seat at the table and add 2 more seats at the table with it.
Claire, can you pass the mic over to Tracy?
You know, when you're saying hook a sister up, like, what we also need are other women who don't look like us to stand up for us, to say something. When you see something that's happening in a work environment where you see someone getting passed over and you know they're qualified and they don't look like you and you have the root there, we need you to speak up as well. That's what we need. We need our men to speak up as well too. When you see that this woman is qualified and you know that she can do the job and do the work and get it done, and you don't speak up, you're a part of the problem as well.
That's right. Chantel, let me ask you, sometimes it's hard to negotiate even when you know your worth. How do you claim your spot at the table and also make sure that you're compensated properly?
Well, I think it's not really negotiating. It's knowing what you're worth and not being scared to say that number or say exactly what you want from it. It's really, really hard. I mean, most people look at you and assume you're just waiting to, I mean, I'm 33 living in 2022 and I get more questions about when I'm starting a family than my business. So they think this is a transition until I build a family. Like, no,
That's probably just from your parents, your Cuban parents.
Cuban parents, yes, but you go anywhere in Miami and we go out to dinner and my husband's getting asked how his business is. And I'm being asked, you know, when are you guys starting a family? You're 33. And you have to just know your worth and make people realize you're here and this is what makes you happy. I mean, it's also really inspiring to be amongst women who are so successful and have families, because people act like it's a one of the other. But I think it's just being firm and knowing yourself and knowing where your value is. And, you know, there's been jobs where I've set a number that I use that same kind of mentality. Like, what would a man do? And you get it. When you value yourselves the right way, you'll get there.
To add to what you're saying, know your numbers. We tend to not want to have this conversation about what people are making and what men are making in the same space. And when you start having the conversation, you're like, wait, what do you mean he's making 30,000 more than me in the same similar position? So you need to have these conversations. Don't be scared of it. Like, I think we tend to be scared. You know, one of the things my best friend says is, we tend to go like, I'm so thankful to be here. Like, thank you for this. And it's like, no, I am amazing. I know my worth. I know what I'm doing. So you should be thankful to have me. And so we need to stop being fearful on fear about having these conversations about what salaries are out there, how much money is out there, what people are making, what other people in comparable jobs are making. Because you'll go with a number that you think's the greatest number, and you're like, oh, I got that raise and it's great. And then 2 weeks later, you find out your counterpart who's doing the same job is already making $30,000 more than that. And you're like, wait, what just happened? So don't be fearful to have these conversations about salary and things like that, because it's important for us to go in with that education when we're asking for these raises, these, you know, positions, things like that.
And I think that's important to surround yourself with a good circle of women, just not only in your personal life, but in your workplace too, because you are able to have conversations like that, and it's not intimidating, and it's not like you're competing against one another. You're actually lifting each other up. I had a friend who, and we all cried about it on our group chat together, because she said, this guy is making 66% more, and he told me, but the girls didn't tell me, you know? So that's so important, to build a community of friends and also of colleagues that are gonna root for you and have your back, right? With that said, let's talk a little bit about tech in Miami. Can you tell us about the Tuttle Tribe and who knows about NFTs here? Oh, okay. What was it? No, what did you say it was, Anna? No freaking tacos? No freaking tacos.
So yeah, I want to hook a sister up. That's what the Tuttle Tribe is about. So NFTs are based on blockchain technology. And I always talk about the moment, it was 1996, and Katie Couric is on the Today Show, and she's like, guys, what's this thing called the internet? And now we look back at that clip and we laugh. That is this moment right now. Like, we are going to look back at 2022 and be like, remember when we didn't really understand blockchain technology and NFTs? So we are on the precipice of this like huge catalytic change. And I want to educate and onboard as many women as possible because, and then I'll get into exactly what it is, but I got to go on the stat that you were sharing around the, you know, when men look at a resume and, you know, 60% of that sort of fits their job skills set. That's actually what's happening in the NFT market now. So NFTs are essentially like ownership of digital asset. Can be anything, but where we're seeing this adopted the most is on digital pieces of art that people are using for their profile picture. To me, that's the least exciting, but okay, that's the entryway in. And what's happening is the value of these NFT projects is going through the roof right now. So if you own what they call a Bored Ape, the value of that little pixelated picture is 100 Ethereum. And Ethereum this morning when I woke up was $3,000. So you own a little digital piece of art that is valued at $300,000. And guess who created that project? A group of men. And guess who are the majority owners of that project? White, crypto, bro men. And that scares me. Because as we're on the precipice of this huge change, if we have this sea of people who feel like, yeah, 60% of this, you know, of the job skills in what matters in NFTs, I got that, I'm good, I'm building, that's a problem. And when people are looking at different NFT projects to invest in, the women-led projects, we are required to check all 100% of the boxes. And so we launched a project last Wednesday called the Tuttle Tribe, which is in honor of Julia Tuttle. And Julia Tuttle, as we know, is the mother of Miami, right? During Women's History Month, we're celebrating her. And we launched that to onboard more women into NFTs. So you own a very beautiful piece of digital art that was created by a local Venezuelan artist named Amaranta Martinez. But the special piece of ownership of that art is it unlocks the educational content that our community offers. So we host, actually in the upcoming weeks, we have like 4 different events coming up to train folks to get into this space because I want to make sure that as these huge investment returns start coming off of these NFT collections, that the women in this room are benefiting from the upside of that. And so if you don't know what NFTs are, great. We are your answer. And so find, you know, one of us so we can talk to you about how to become part of the Tuttle Tribe, because I want to make sure that we defy those stats and that we make sure that 10, 20 years in the future when the, you know, building blocks of Web3 technology are laid and that foundation is settled in stone, we had a voice in it.
You will be schooling us all. I'm going to open up the floor for a couple of questions. Anyone have a question for one of our panelists? I mean, you guys have to have a question. We have a very interesting group of ladies. Don't be scared.
Yeah, so there's 1,800 NFTs left. So we created a collection with 3,050. We had to have 305 represented in the collection. So there are still NFTs left in the collection.
Any other questions?
So what about the men in our lives?
I'll take some of this because I have to shout out the person who supports me. So, you know, we talk about balance, and you touched on it. That, you know, I think I told my friends that my mother and her generation kind of like made me think I could do it all, and I can't. And my mom was a single mom, so I'm like, I don't even know how you did it all, baking cookies and cooking dinner every night. But my husband supports everything that I do. Like the craziest ideas, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And he's like, yeah, if that's what you want to do, I'm right here. And so having that at home is important, but also having people in my work life. My former boss, our CMO, Michael McCullough, is hugely supportive, has been one of my great mentors, has said my name in rooms where I wasn't, and put me up for things. The reason I'm in culture and inclusion is because of him. He saw an opportunity open up that he was like, you'd be perfect for that. And he pushed me towards it. So I think it's important to have men in our lives who support and say your name and, you know, tell you the things that you may not know about. You know, my friend does golfing outings, and she talks about how business happens on the golf course for guys, and for women it doesn't happen that way. And so she's teaching women those things. But if you have a man in your life who can kind of teach you those things and tell you those things and open those doors, it's also important. So they do have a huge role.
So one of my best friends, like a sister, is Eva Longoria, and she gave me one of the best pieces of advice. She said, never be with a man who drags you down. Because sometimes you want to be with a man so much that you don't realize you are stopping yourself from taking opportunities. You're stopping yourself from letting yourself bloom and letting your wings out and being all who you can be, because you're too busy trying not to threaten that man, or not to antagonize that man, or not to make that man feel like you're plus one. Well, we've spent a hell of a long time being plus ones. It's not a bad thing, you know? I mean, you get into really cool things. So I would say, you know, don't be afraid of it. Don't think about it. Think about, don't let anyone, man, woman, family, anyone, friends, drag you down. The other thing is watch the finances. Watch the finances. I heard someone say once, no matter who we are, we're always just a man away from being bankrupt. So you know, make sure that, you know, I think there are things, and as more of us are getting married older, as more of us are reaching professional success, things like, you know, listen, a rich man has no problem telling a woman that they need a prenup. We get all tied up in knots about asking for a prenup. I can give you the legal form if you need one.
So I really rarely feel bad for men, but in some ways I feel bad for them. Our male allies don't actually know how to be allies. And I think about my own journey of learning how to be a white ally, which I still mess up all the time. But the only reason that I got any better was because people taught me, people called me out on microaggressions, people helped me, people built skill, people increased my awareness around things. I don't know that there really is the same type of like thoughtful, experiential group settings for men to learn how to be good allies. So that's actually part of what we're doing within the educational training of Tuttle Tribe, because sometimes I think they just are a bit clueless, which is not an excuse. Like, get unclueless, like go learn how to do this right. But I think we also haven't ever offered the same type of like curriculum as there is around being a white ally. And so that's part of what we're doing.
And I'm raising two men, two black men, and my focus is encouraging them to stand in their truth, and the bottom line is treat her like a lady. You know, no matter what. My youngest and I were having a conversation just yesterday because his sister was testing him, and I have to remind him she's still a girl, and you can't respond to her that way, you know, like in the plucking or the physical way, you know. But as a mom that's raising two young men, my focus is treat her like a lady at the end of the day. And my mom, like if I only took her advice, or my kids only took her advice, like I said, she was so out of pocket, and this was during an interview that I was doing. I had this, I think it might have been NBC, and she came up to summer camp where I was with Honey Shine, and she brought me lunch, and I was like, thanks, Mom. And the reporter was like, Mom, like, how is she your mom? And I was like, well, she gave birth to me. And then she was like, oh, I'd love to talk to her. And I was like, no, it's okay, because I know my mother. She was like, oh, I would love to talk to her. So my mom's like, okay, what? Like, that's what she said. What do you want? And so she was like, oh, Tracy's so spiritual. She's so sweet. Like, did she get that from you? And she was like, what? She says, first of all, let me tell you this. Man wrote the Bible. Man's a damn lie. I don't believe he walked. I don't believe he walked on water and Mary wasn't a virgin. I literally wanted to melt because of that. But this was her experience, you know. She was in an abusive relationship, you know. She's had to do it all on her own, and I just take great pride in being able to share and show my mom that there are good men out there. There are some great men out there, and we need to uplift them and support them. What's interesting, quick story, the other day 2 days ago, I was in Design District going to something, an event, and I'm coming up the stairs and there's this man and he's so upset, black male, and he's so upset he works there. And I was like, what's going on with you? Why are you yelling? That's my nature too, to just talk to everybody. And so he was like, I'm so frustrated. You know, the woman that he works with, I was just trying to tell her something, and he kept saying, like, why is it that women are so hard on me? Why is it that black women are so hard on me? You know, and then he started talking about his home life situation, and we have no idea the damage that we do to men as single moms. Because we have to be so strong, we have to be so tough. This man was literally broken, and I wanted to be that example to him, to show him that we love you too. You know, so we have to pour into our men just like we have to pour into ourselves.
You know something that struck me as I'm sitting here, and I don't know if you ladies, and you guys over there, have been following this, but the Florida legislature just passed a law where basically if a conversation about gender or ethnicity makes you feel uncomfortable, you can sue that company or that school board where this conversation is happening. And it struck me that there would be people, there's probably people who feel very uncomfortable about the conversation we are having right now. And so one of the ways to empower women is to vote out politicians that want to ban these conversations.
She's absolutely right, because we are sitting back in this state and watching it happen, from abortion rights to, we can't, like, I could not tell the story, gay rights, I could not tell the story of my mother because people would be offended, but there was no conversation about the people who were hurt and offended when everything else was happening. So that, you're absolutely right, Anna. We need to speak up and not just sit back because it's not directly affecting us.
All right. All right.
So, just wondering, how would you compare New York to Miami for women that are interested in moving here? What are the opportunities comparable in New York and stuff?
Well, that's a question for me, because I'm your welcome committee. Well, you know, unfortunately for other places, we're it. Everybody wants to be here, so if they haven't figured it out, I'm not sure, you know. There you go. Happy to talk to you about it. We're rolling out the welcome mat. Well, you know, just follow the flights. We had the #1 and 2 biggest days at our airport this week in the history of the Miami International
I know, I was
Airport.
there, and parking is impossible.
Well, parking has been fixed, Madam Anna. We're on it.
I've been telling her this now for a few weeks.
Yes, we're on it. We've opened up new spots and we're shuttling people and a few other things. But yes, it's quite a challenge because we're very popular. But I am recruiter in chief for county government. We've got jobs. We want you. Please come on down and make our place even greater than we are.
One last question.
Well, I think I'm pretty out in the open, personally, and I have certainly been on the bandwagon. When I came into office as a county commissioner in 2014, before I won in August, but I didn't get to take my seat till November, and in those months, one of the things I did was work on becoming the first county to adopt the UN Charter to eliminate discrimination against women. And I had some pushback, but we got it done. And then every year we have a status of women report, and every year we address some of the problems that we find. And our pay equity scale in county government is better than the county as a whole because of a few things that we do. We don't ask salary history. By the way, we also banned the box, so someone can get all the way to the end of a selection process before they have to reveal that they have a criminal record. Different issue, but important. And we're pushing through now all kinds of things to level the playing field. And we've just been told, and thank goodness we have been told, to do another updated report to see how we're doing within the county. So I have 25 departments, 11 are led by women. And I don't know, when I got in, I probably have a net gain of 3 or 4. So we're working on it. And not only that, I approve all deputy director hires. That's something new because I know those deputies are in line. I have promoted more people inside to leadership roles, many of them women, exactly for the reasons that you would want. So I think inside county government, we are very hospitable to women, but more so in some departments than others. We're doing an equity analysis of every department to see how we're doing with advancement and promotions and salaries.
I know you asked the mayor, but I just want to add in really quick on tech, how we're seeing this play out. So venture capital, which is the process that startups get investment from private funders, that system was created in 1968. In Silicon Valley. It's actually a group of 12 white men who sat around a table and said, hey, we're going to lend some money to each other. How do we set that mechanism up? That year, Ruth Bader Ginsburg had not even passed the legislation for women to have credit cards. So think about that. The ramifications of that 60 years later are that the venture capital system is broken. Less than 3% of venture capital funding goes to female founders. And we have been fighting that statistic for over a decade. So it's a huge problem in tech, and this is why I'm so loud about the opportunity for Web3, because I think if we just build from the beginning with all of the people at the table, instead of what we did in 1968, we won't have as much of a problem. But the closed doors, we're not there. We're here, unfortunately, we're not there, and we need to be.
Yes.
Can I ask, Daniela, can I ask you a question? And then we can, I was thinking as I was watching you, hearing you speak right now, in the last year, we had the Surfside collapse, which I think is the worst tragedy in Miami-Dade that I can remember since maybe after
non-natural disaster in Florida's history, too.
Yeah. And we saw you day after day after day after day on the site, wearing your jacket, in command. But at the same time, you were having to give these bad news and you were having to mend broken hearts and console people. How do you take care of your mental health? I ask questions for a living.
Well, I believe in a good night's sleep. I do think that's very important. And there was that question about how you deal with disappointment. It's like, it'll be a little better in the morning. I think there's something to that. But I have a great support network, including my husband, my children, my staff. They're amazing. And truly, I draw my energy from people. That's my mojo. So I feel a calling, and I do what I need to do, and it gives me great joy. It doesn't deplete me at all. It fills me up. That's the truth. But I would like a vacation. And also nature. So it's my job to wrap up this incredible conversation that has gone on much longer than we anticipated, because it was so rich and so meaningful, and people wanted to be part. So you clearly are helping out the sisters and the girls and the boys too to get it right, right? Thank you for raising them up. And I want to say, whether you love men or whether you love women, right? We need each other. We need to be kind to each other. And we need to make sure that everybody has their opportunity to shine. And thank you so very much for being just those women.
Thank you once again for being with us. These ladies lead with example by heart and give back to our community and beyond. And we are so grateful that you spent a little bit of time. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it spoke to you. And you know, we're just a DM, right? Or a tweet away. And thank you to Manny. Let's give Manny a round of applause. Yes, Manny crushed it. Also, thank you to Superblue, thank you to Berkeley's Flowers, thank you to Topo Chico, everybody that was involved in it. And ladies, if you want to hang out for a little bit, I don't know if you have to go back to work or not, but Superblue has kindly and graciously opened their doors to us to get a little tour so we can enjoy, but there may still be some wine out there and champagne. But for that, we are all set, and we hope to see all you familiar faces once again. Maybe at next year's. Thanks. Thank you. This is fun. This is also my community, and of course, I love to highlight those women who are really leading the way, not only through their success, but most importantly, through their heart. So thank you once again. Thanks for being here, and keep in touch.